All right, welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're unpacking a really exciting update, something that's going to make a lot of developers out there very, very happy. We are diving into Claude Code version 2.1.176. Now, just to set the stage, this isn't one of those minor, under-the-hood tweaks you'll barely even notice. No, this is a heavy-hitting release that is squarely focused on a major quality-of-life upgrade, giving your daily workflow a massive boost and squashing those everyday frustrations that completely derail a good coding session.
You know that feeling, right? You're completely in the zone, coding away, everything is flowing, and then you're just stopped dead in your tracks by a random prompt asking you to re-authenticate. Or maybe you've been battling obscure bugs when you're jumping between environments. We've all been there, and we all know exactly how much those roadblocks absolutely kill your momentum. Well, this patch was designed specifically for you to clear out those precise hurdles.
Okay, let's dive into Section 1. Meet version 2.1176, a heavy-hitting feature and fix release.
To give you a roadmap of what we're covering today, we're looking at 4 core areas: session behavior optimization, credential management upgrades, strict model enforcement, and platform-specific bug squashing.
Moving right along to Section 2, shiny new features, focusing on UI and UX upgrades.
First up is a really nice shift in how your sessions are named. In the past, session titles were always generated in a fixed language, regardless of what language you were actually conversing in. That could get kind of confusing, right? Well, now, those titles dynamically match the language of your conversation automatically. And hey, if you prefer that old consistency, no problem at all. You can securely lock a specific language in your config settings, so it always stays in English, for example, no matter what you're talking about.
Oh, and this next UI addition is a real game changer for teams. It's the new footerLinksRegexes setting. This lets admins and users define regular expression patterns that instantly render as clickable link badges right there in Claude Code's footer row. Think about what that means. You can configure one-click access to your internal docs, your performance dashboards, or your ticketing systems literally right where developers are already working.
Next is Section 3, Smarter AWS Credential Caching and Ending the Reauth Treadmill.
So let's talk about back-end time savers. If you use AWS Bedrock and AWS Credential Export, you definitely know what I mean by the reauth treadmill. For a long time, Claude Code had this incredibly rigid limitation. When exporting credentials, it cached them for a flat, inflexible 1 hour. It totally ignored what your actual valid window was. After exactly 60 minutes, boom, you were prompted again. It was just a massive workflow disruptor.
Well, the system is significantly smarter now. Instead of that flat 1-hour timer, Claude Code dynamically reads the actual expiration field on the credential itself, and it caches it until that precise timestamp. So to put that into perspective, if your organization issues credentials with a much longer valid window, you can finally say goodbye to that annoying treadmill and just stay focused on your code. Let's look at Section 4, Closing Security Loopholes Through Strict Model Allowless Enforcement.
Of course, with smoother workflows, we absolutely need better guardrails. To give a little context here, for those who might not manage these settings day to day, the Model Allow list, which is controlled by the Available Model setting, is an administrative tool that defines exactly which AI models users are actually permitted to access within an organization. It is absolutely crucial for governance. But in previous versions, there are kind of some sneaky ways around it.
So the crucial point here is that those bypasses are completely neutralized. Before, a user could set specific Anthropic default _ model environment variables to trick Claude Code into redirecting to an explicitly blocked model. Yeah, that no longer works. Also, if you try using the /fast toggle, the system will now flat out refuse to switch if your target model isn't on that approved allow list. It's a huge, solid win for organizational security. All right, Section 5, Squashing Annoying Workflow Bugs. Let's do some rapid-fire fixes.
Let's shift gears and go on an absolute bug-squashing rampage. First up, if your org runs on 505, auto mode used to just crash and burn if Opus 4.8 wasn't enabled. The fix? It now gracefully falls back to the best available Opus model. Next, hook rules. If you were using read, edit, or write toolpaths, your if conditions were probably ignoring documented glob patterns. Well, fixed. Patterns like edit, source, /star/* work exactly as they are supposed to. And for our terminal power users out there, if you used copy or mouse selection in Tmux over an SSH connection, it was silently failing. That reliability is completely restored now, and it even loads correctly on Tmux versions older than 3.2.
Keeping that rapid pace going, let's look at the next batch. Remote control quirks, gone. Connecting from web or mobile isn't going to silently switch your model anymore. And when you disconnect, you actually get readable reasons now instead of raw, cryptic numeric codes. Plus, sessions properly disconnect when you sign into a different account. And finally, that incredibly frustrating cluster of background session bugs is totally handled. Using /bg mid-turn won't leave you hanging on working forever. PRURL searches now work during scheduled wake-ups. Windows network paths are correctly neutralized before respawning. Corrupted resume IDs won't ruin your whole session, and the Windows background daemon starts up perfectly even if the directory is set to read-only.
Which brings us to Section 6, the bottom line, reclaiming your workflow.
Let's take a breath and slow it back down. When you step back and look at all of this together, the dynamic session naming, those clickable footer links, the dramatically smarter AWS credential caching, the tightened security guardrails, and that massive list of bug fixes, this entire update is really about one thing: reducing friction. It's about reclaiming your lost time. Now, if you want to dive a little deeper into the exact configurations we've covered today, I highly recommend going straight to the source. You can find the full Claude Code manual along with some really excellent plain English guides over at cloudmaster.net.
And that wraps up today's explainer. Your tools are sharper, your workflow is significantly smoother, and those annoying momentum-killing bugs are finally out of the way. So with all these roadblocks cleared and your environment optimized, the only question left to ask is, what are you going to build with your reclaimed time? Thanks so much for joining me to explore this release, and happy coding.